Hello, hello. Well, if you're here and feeling festive, you're in the right place. We are so glad to have all of you. We'll give you a little bit of time to come in. Thrilled to have you here. This is the monthly webinar for Fundraising Academy, and we are talking about lessons learned and future planning, end of year giving assessment. So again, we always like to start off, if you would, in the chat. Go ahead and tell us where you're joining us from, organization, name, location. We just really like to see where all of our friends, our fundraising friends, or as I say, fundraising and our nonprofit nerds, just go ahead and drop that in the chat. We like to see, again, just who's here. So I'm wearing my festive glasses because it's going to be a festive conversation. Really looking forward to this. And Jack, if you would mind, just advance us to the next slide. I think everyone now knows where they're here for. Again, thank you. Fundraising, you've got a cause, learn how to fund it. We are here to help you do that. We believe that all of you are supporting critical missions, and that's why we offer these no-cost monthly webinars. Would love to introduce myself. I am Jarrett Ransom. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a trainer at Fundraising Academy here at National University, but I'm also known as the nonprofit nerd, hence the glasses and the nerd tape right here on the bridge. So don't worry, these will come off and they won't be obnoxious the entire time. I live in Phoenix. I work across the nation, and I've been so very honored and privileged to serve as a trainer for Fundraising Academy and using the cause selling education model. So I will be here moderating, keeping an eye on the chat. If you have any questions, please make sure you use the chat for that. We've got a couple of Fundraising Academy staff, teammates joining us as well. They essentially are our bosses and making sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, but they're also here to support and to provide additional resources to all of you that are here. So I want to also introduce, and I have to take my glasses off for this, our presenter. Thrilled to have Mr. Jack Alato joining us. He is a Master's of Arts and a CFRE, which most of you know, that is a certified fundraising executive. And Jack is immersed in the CFRE community. And Jack, from me to you, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing to build out the leaders in this sector. He's also a trainer here at National University Fundraising Academy. And again, I also mentioned a certified fundraising executive. He has held leadership roles across many industries, which include hospitals, social services, as well as arts organizations. He has been executive director, he's been development director, and has taught numerous courses on fundraising throughout his career, and he continues to do that. Jack joined the Fundraising Academy team in 2019, and he remains passionate about advancing philanthropy and promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in this sector. And I can attest to that. Jack, you are a phenomenal leader and mentor. So I will pass it to you as you get us going into today's conversation. Thank you, Jack.
Great. And I'm honored to be here with you and all of you who are joining this webinar from wherever you are. Happy holidays. I loved Jarrett's glasses earlier. I have to get a copy of those glasses. They were so awesome. So we're hoping that today's webinar will be interactive. So Jarrett mentioned using that chat button. Yes, I want to hear from you. We're going to poll. We're going to talk about what happened this past year. Where are we? Where are you? Where is your fundraising as it relates to the cause selling cycle? We're going to talk about applying need discovery strategies to create a framework for your organization's donor relations survey. And we're going to translate some data that you might have. We want to hear about your data, as well as some data that we've collected over several organizations who are collecting data here at the end of the year, and how we can move that data. What we learn is great, but if we can't translate it into actionable engagement and compelling presentations, then it's just data. It's really making it actionable and influencing, informing what we do in 2026. And of course, we want to identify specific stewardship strategies to increase donor retention and gift frequency. So these are really our goals today, and there's a lot that we hope to go through. So I'm going to move right along. Of course, remember to use that chat because Jarrett is watching chat and she's going to interrupt me whenever she would like to talk about what you're thinking about in chat. So the cause selling cycle. I mean, this is the foundation of what we do at the Fundraising Academy. And as we move into 2026, we are facing a rapidly changing landscape. And in order for us to have long-term success, we must build genuine relationships with donors. The heart, the foundation of cause selling is relationship building, and that is such a key to successful engagement, solicitation, and stewardship with our donors. And in order to achieve that, we incorporate this 8-step cause selling model into your fundraising planning. I incorporate it into my fundraising planning for sustainable growth. Remember, this cause selling is more than just fundraising. It's about creating lasting connections with your supporters, with your prospects, with your donors, so that they'll renew that gift and bring up that retention rate specifically for your organization. By getting to know their motivations, their drives, their visions, values, their connection to your mission, you can tailor your approach to each of them personally. You can make it personally. So focusing on building ongoing engagement, that's what we're all about, rather than only reaching out when you need donations. You know what I like to say about the cause selling model of fundraising? It's moving from transactional giving to building long-term relationships. And if we want to sustain our organizations, that has to be at the heart of what we do. Remember this also about the cause selling cycle. It's about transparency. And I always like to say this in my CFRE classes. Transparency is the foundation of trust, and donors give to organizations they trust. So it's really important to create impactful reports, messaging, storytelling about what we're doing so as to show that transparency and build that trust. Remember also that cause selling emphasizes offering personalized ways for donors to give. Remember, the most successful organizations personalize their prospects, their discovery, their presentation, their solicitation, and their stewardship. It has to be personalized. And I don't know any fundraising model that says otherwise. So it's really important, that personal touch. Donor stewardship is not the end of this cycle, by the way, as you look at this phase 3 here. It's not the end. In fact, stewardship is just that piece of the fundraising cause selling cycle that poises us to ask for that next gift. And that is really key as we move forward. So as you look at this cycle, there are 8 essential steps in 3 big phases, okay? Regardless of the gift potential, whether it's $25 or $250,000, you have to have predictable actions which must be performed. And that's what the cause selling cycle is all about. Think of this as the steps in a sales cycle. There are 3 distinct phases, as I said. Phase 1, all the work necessary to prospect for qualified donors. And the key thing about that work in phase 1 is to get to those qualified prospects who are potential donors. Phase 2 is everything that happens face to face with those prospective donors: the discovery, the need, the presentation of your cause, and of course, handling any objections that they may present. And then finally, phase 3 is everything after the gift is given. You know, the stewardship part, the ask, etc. So let's move on to our poll. And I understand that Bianca, who is the newest and best, not the best, one of the best members of our new team. So Bianca, thank you so much. Look at this poll.
Jack, while we're filling out the poll, I want to shout out We have 67 participants today, which my son would do this, right? 6, 7. However,
Yeah.
however, that is a phenomenal number of people. I know many of you are in the craze chaos right now of end of year fundraising. So thank you for making time for today's conversation. Phenomenal, amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would just reiterate as we're waiting for this poll to conclude that absolutely this is the crazy time of year. This is when you're going to work every day, maybe even on Christmas Day
Yeah.
or any holiday, New Year's Day, to make sure those end of the year gifts are accepted and deposited, and working on your CRM, whatever you're doing, making sure those thank you letters get out, because this is the time. And in fact, this is, I think, except for last year, this is the end of the year is really when most gifts are happening. Looking at these polls, look at this, less than 1 year. Love that you're here. 10%, 18%, 1 to 3 years, 4 to 7 years, 20%, 8 to 10 years, 10%, and of course 10 plus years, which don't tell anybody, Jared, but that's the one I'm in. 41%.
Same.
Very nice. Same for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been around. Great. So thank you so
Wonderful.
much for answering our questions. Really appreciate that. Um, all right. So let's do a brief review of fundraising. We're going to start out by talking about the fundraising effectiveness project. And I have to thank my coworker Deandra for putting in that website. And guys, you should take a look at the fundraising effectiveness project. It's FEPreports.org. And it's really an awesome place to see what's going on. And to me, it seems that the three big things that I'm going to review here are donors, dollars, and retention rates. This is, for me, the thrust of that fundraising effectiveness project. And what we've seen, and I'm going to just briefly review some of these, and then I'm going to ask you to put in chat where your organization might be. One of the things that I think is so amazing as it relates to donors is that the numbers of donors declined by 1.3% year over year. However, the amount of gifts, the total dollars raised, grew by 3.6%. So we see a significant decline in grassroots contributions, which for me, and I don't know about you, Jared, is a warning sign. Because why I say it's a warning sign is because those grassroots contributors, those people making gifts of less than $100, are the pipeline for so many other gifts that we receive throughout the cause selling cycle. They're the pipeline for monthly gifts, for legacy gifts, for endowment gifts, for all kinds of gifts going forward, and especially for major gifts, because what the fundraising effectiveness project shows is that very few donors enter your organization as a major gift donor. They come through this grassroots contributions. So it's very important to take a look at that. So if you look at dollars raised, major gift donors, those who gave at least $5,000 or above, gave 78% of the total dollars given. So major gifts are still critically important moving forward to make sure that we are closing those major gifts. And of course, giving circles, which are growing by leaps and bounds. Those are where a group of philanthropists, a group of people get together, they pool their money, and then they decide where it goes. There are lots of giving circles, and every year I look as the number grows more and more. It's such a democratic way to make gifts, and that's what I love so much about those giving circles. Mutual aid, and of course, crowdfunding, giving all rose. Retention rates, look at the retention rates for major gift donors, 66%. When you compare that to the retention rate of donors overall, the retention rate for donors overall is somewhere between 40 and 50%. But major gift donors, they stay with you. And the reason why I think this is, Jared, that they stay with us, because our major gift donors look at themselves, and we should look at them as investors. They are investing in the mission, the vision, and the values. Mid-level donors are retention rates 100 to 500, 33%. Low dollar donors, less than $100, 32%. And what I love about this last statistic, recurring gift donors, those are people who make more than one gift a year. And primarily recurring gift donors, those are the people who make monthly gifts. That's why going forward into 2026, take a look at these statistics when we talk about later on how they inform what we do. So take a look at recurring gifts. That's 85% retention rate. Who wouldn't want to brag about that? So let's hear from you guys. Tell us, what does your data tell you? What have you learned from your data? Anyone, please put it in chat. And Jarrett, let me know what you're finding out.
Yeah, thank you to Debbie. I'm going to give you a shout out, Debbie, because Debbie says we are up so far this year. Major gift donors are also up for this year. Would love to hear from others. And I know that we had a question. Someone's on the road with choppy reception, which thanks for joining us during a transit time. The recording is always available, or not always, will be available shortly after this session, maybe tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure the timeline, in our no cost portal. So you'll want to access this, the recording in the portal.
And
So,
also, did we hear that our PowerPoint will be up in a couple weeks?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, I
So
think
this
Jess
is
told us
always on
that.
the portal, and truly, Jack, all previous webinars too. So we do this monthly, not always this dynamic duo, but some dynamic duo. So we're getting some results here. Retention rate is, well, let me start up here. We're down by dollars and number of donors. So that's one person. Another one adds our retention rate is very high because we have a captive audience being a church affiliated agency. However, our donor base is rapidly declining because of the age of our demographic. So this is a big concern for us.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure. And I'd love to hear from that person when we talk about, what that data tells them going forward, how they're going to fix that. How are they going to change that? So let's look at prospecting. Let's go through the cost-selling cycle. We'll start with prospecting. What do we say in cost-selling, Jarrett? No prospects, no donors. So what have you seen in your prospecting? Have you seen numbers of prospects growing? And if so, share with us strategies you used to grow that prospecting donor base. Anyone in chat?
We're still talking about some major donors.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah, so waiting on some prospecting to come in. Would love to hear from those of you that are prospecting. And yeah, any barriers? What's working for you? What hasn't worked for you?
Right.
Let us know.
One of the things that we talk quite a bit about in prospecting in the cost selling cycle is talking to board members and asking them who in their circle of influence, who in their network would be interested in our organization's mission or vision or values. I'm interested to know how many people has used that strategy as a prospecting tool. Asking their board members. I know the other group we always talk about is asking your donors. I used to ask major gift donors all the time after they made a gift. I would say something like this: "Hey, thanks for your major gift, Jarrett. Do you know anybody in your network who might be interested in our organization's mission or our values?"
Hey, Jack, we had one comment and someone has asked their board members for prospects, but got no feedback.
Wow. What I think is one of the fixes for that is to work with your board members at the beginning of January, going forward in 2026, get out a board involvement agreement. And there's lots of them out there. an agreement that says that a board member would sign. I'm going to make this annual gift, and I am going to introduce you to these people that I know. So one of the best ways to overcome that problem is not just to ask them, but to have your board members sign a board agreement. In that board agreement, and it's a strategy you all should be bringing to 2026. In that board agreement, it will start at the top. I will serve on this committee. I will introduce you to this corporation or foundation. I will buy a table at the gala. I will introduce you to 3 people I know who are interested in our mission, etc. And make them sign that in January at the beginning of the calendar year or at the beginning of your fiscal year, and then hold them to it. Who holds them to it? The board president and the rest of the board. So that I've seen that. I've made that I've had that objection. I say, hey, who was interested in introducing me to it? What's the way I think that you could get around that? Because I know it is a recurring problem. When I worked in healthcare philanthropy, one of the things that I would do would be to bring the names of program officers at foundations, bring the names of people who were indicated as potential prospects. And I would pass this list of names around to board members, and I would say, please let me know who you know on this list.
Yeah.
Who on this list is in your circle of influence?
We do have some additional comments here
Good.
that they have asked major donors as well. They're planning to approach these donors to introduce to the decision makers, which is phenomenal, at their church to help grow the church engagement program the coming year. Also, a comment about initial solicitation is via word of mouth and friends of the board. Someone else mentioned that they use their annual event as an entry point for donor cultivation. They invite volunteer leaders to purchase tickets for their network and are creating a natural pathway to follow up engagement for the team.
That is beautiful. And you know what I like especially about that is that that person, whoever that was in those organizations, understand the difference between a soft ask where you invite someone to come to the homeless shelter or come to the art museum, where you're not having a specific ask with a specific amount of money, but it's kind of a soft ask. And to use both the soft ask, and when we get to the ask, we probably will talk more about this, but to use that soft ask as a way to cultivate them. And sometimes what we say in the cause selling cycle, watch those donor signals. You bring them to your organization, and the donor is showing you in body language and in what they're saying that they're interested in making a gift of some variety. Is when you go to that hard ask and ask for a specific thing. I always used to like to say, especially in the cause selling cycle, Jared comes to my homeless shelter and she leans in and she says, we have to do something about the homeless in our community. We have to do something about this or something about that. I would always turn to her and then come with a hard ask and say, would you be interested in making a gift to help us solve this problem? And that was always a great technique. And it sounds like from what you're telling me in chat, people are using that soft ask, which typically we find in our next slide, which is discovery, which is what strategies we use to bring them in, to inform them about the people, the work, the programs of our organization, bring them in to understand their motivations, their needs, what they value, etc. How about in discovery or cultivation? How do you do that? What strategies work best for you guys as it relates to cultivation? Anything in there? And Jared, just
Not yet. We got to give them time to type.
Okay. Oh, they're not using voice.
I know. No AI.
No
Yeah, and they're
AI.
great remarks. So I really appreciate everyone's comments.
Yes.
If you take some time, Jack, there's quite a bit of comments on the previous slide. So I have no doubt that we'll get some individuals chiming in on the discovery section here and the strategies that's working for discovering their needs. Okay, Debbie's coming in with impact tours of our food and nutrition center. Absolutely. That's a big
Love that.
one. Yeah. And those can be done virtually too. I'm kind of going back to my COVID days, but you remember, Jack, when we had to get creative beyond what we already thought was creative, and we offered tours, right, digitally.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
do think that that had, for me, with my clients in particular, I've seen an expansion of their donor base outside of the immediate local community. It's really cast that net far and wide. And I've seen some success stories again with my clients where, the person used to live in this location. They have since moved away, but they still contribute because of their ability to engage digitally beyond the COVID
Yeah.
years. So
You,
great
you
job.
know, one of the strategies that I have picked up on this last year, and I hope many of you will use this going forward in 2026. I'm a consultant like Jarrett, and I was consulting for a hospice. And what I did was I went to their website and I made a small gift to them, like 10, $15, because I always like to see how they process the gift, how they react. And one of the things they did after I made the gift, like a day or two later, is they sent me a very short survey. And I love the use of surveys to discover during this discovery phase. What that survey was like 5 questions. They asked me why I made a gift. They asked me how easy it was for me to navigate their website to the donation page. They asked me if what kind of information I would like going forward. They asked me 2 other questions that I can't remember, but very short survey that was very relationship building, which is the orientation of the cause selling cycle, and very donor centric. They were asking me to self-identify how many times I would like them to communicate with me. I love the use of survey as a discovery tool. It's underutilized, and you could use it not only in discovery, but afterwards. We talk in discovery about those open-ended questions. Well, maybe you could create 5 open-ended questions that you could send after you get a gift, or before you get the gift, or that first gift. What do you want to accomplish with your gift? And in stewardship, the use of surveys. So discovery, which is typically the longest part of the cause selling cycle, it takes a while to understand a donor's motivations, their needs, their vision, their value, their connection to our mission, and then use that to personalize what we said way back on slide 2 or 3, to personalize that interaction going forward with that prospect or that donor.
Yeah,
Anything else?
there's some great comments in here.
Let's hear
One
it.
person said, I've heard that surveys encourage engagement, even if nothing is done with the information. And on the flip side, someone said, what hasn't worked in all caps is that donor surveys aren't working for them because nobody wants to fill out a survey, but our donors are pretty spread out. So it's kind of,
Sure.
the opposites.
Right. And I think you have to be, if you're asking 100 questions or you're asking 15 questions, I know myself, you probably get surveys too. And I'm thinking, I don't want to answer all these questions. I just don't have the time. But one thing that really works when you use a survey is to tell people upfront how long you think they're going to have to engage with this survey. If you send out a few questions, 5 questions, and you say, please take this survey, it will take you about 5 minutes to do it, or 10 minutes, so that once they start the survey, they've already committed the time because you've articulated it to them. I do like, surveys. I like focus groups. I like any kinds of ways that we could get to know our donors better. Anything else in chat?
No, just really keeping it short and sweet, right? That survey short and sweet. I think we're ready for that presentation. It was great comments on discovery. Thanks, everyone.
Great.
You're doing the
So,
chat well, so keep it up.
oh yeah, we love that. Thank you so much. So here's the place where you present your cause. You are telling them, you are trying to get them excited about what your organization does. And anybody using technology to do that. You mentioned, Jared, virtual. You could do virtual presentations. That's something we learned in COVID. Any other strategies that you use, and how was it received? Anybody? What excites donors? What excited donors about your cause, your mission?
I can share one thing because I think you know, Jack, but not everyone on this webinar. I step in and serve as an interim leader, right? So it could be a CEO, executive director. So we have training that we do for the participants, the clients, right? And so we offer those up as observations for our donors and our community leaders. And even as we prospect some grant funders, we extend invitations to our prospects and our champions or major donors, alike. We really spread it far and wide so that they can have a taste of the program and see it in real life. Now, I love this for arts organizations because I
Yeah.
think it's perfect. Like, you've got the audience, you've got the seat, you've got the ticket, you've got the date. But for others that maybe do training or something that's a little, separate than our arts friends, we have to get creative. And so I've opened up for these observation opportunities, and those have been,
I love it.
yeah, those have been well.
When I worked in healthcare, we used to do a night in the ER.
Oh my gosh.
Yes,
Yeah,
I know. We used to invite people to come to spend the night in the ER, or an hour or whatever. So what I really like about that is really bringing home the work that you do in an arts organization or a healthcare facility. I know many people who work with the unhoused. They invite some of their major gift donors, and some of them have
that's
come and
right.
spend the night in the shelter, come
Yeah,
and
that's fantastic.
yeah, I just love that. And you have to love donors. I mean, I always like to say giving is an act of love, or we need to reciprocate that love too. And when they want to get that involved, whether it's an arts organization, as Jared just mentioned, or a hospital or some social service agency, it's beautiful because they
Great
really
opportunity.
put their heart into it. And anything else in
Yes.
presentation? Go ahead.
Yes, now it's popping, as teenagers would say. So Robert says, yes, I have found when have my clients get into a relationship rut with prospects and the donors, Robert suggests to the development team that they need to reach out to get their advice. It helps them feel more included and recognized. So really, like, eliciting that engagement. Dawn mentions that they do offer a streaming option for their annual top donor gathering, which allows everyone to stay connected, even if they cannot attend for whatever their reason might be. Brittany mentions there's some new initiatives and outcomes achieved, and with their support, they provide impact quotes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Debbie says our executive director created a brochure with photos and stories and impact data. And Debbie's been sending this out to major donors, to recurring donors, and returned lapsed donors. It's on heavy, colorful paper. So
Right.
there's lots of great comments in
Yes, and
here. A documentary, someone's producing a documentary.
love that.
Yeah. By the way, Jack's been in a video, or sorry, a movie, right? We just learned
Yes,
that
I was.
earlier.
I wasn't. One of the things that I love, that if I could just add, is the value of storytelling.
Yes.
Storytelling is such a powerful way. And by the way, I opened chat just to see who was in there. Recognize many of the names:
Yeah.
Robert and Linda and Debbie. Thank you for joining us today. We love you guys. I love you. I love the fact that you're here, and supporting us at the Fundraising Academy. But storytelling, guys, I can't emphasize, I
Absolutely.
love a story. I love to read a story. I love to hear about the hero's journey through your organization, the journey of a client. We talk about a donor journey, and storytelling is about our clients sometimes, and even people who are changed, who make gifts. A major gift donor who comes to the art museum and watches the program, let them tell the story of how that impacted them. And messaging, of course, and storytelling is such a great way. And it's something, hopefully in 2026, you're going to include more stories in your presentations. So we did presentation, make us ask. So, I put 4 things up here and I'm going to emphasize 2 of them, but tell us about your annual giving campaign. How many times during the year do you send an annual gift request? How about major gifts? What worked for major gifts? What strategies did you find most effective in either annual gifts or major gifts or Giving Tuesday or any kind of vehicle that you've used? Donor advised funds, capital giving, legacy giving, endowment giving, and we'll give them a few minutes to tell us their stories. Anyone?
We've got some phenomenal comments on the previous slide. So again,
Sure.
I
Go
think
back and we can,
everyone's just really sharing openly, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, good.
Nothing as of yet, but I have
How
a
about Giving Tuesday? How many people were involved in Giving Tuesday? Let's talk 2 of these. If and keep monitoring chat. Interrupt me.
Yeah, here they come. So
Okay.
someone says no Giving Tuesday, but DAF gifts. So that was something. So donor advised funds. And then Debbie mentions 4 mail appeals per year: Giving Tuesday, Colorado Gives Day, end of year email appeals, and follow-up emails to mailed appeals. So that's the cadence that Debbie used.
Oh, beautiful. I love that.
Giving Tuesday appeal for 3 different clients. So
Nice.
someone did that.
Nice.
We focus on crowdfunding for Giving Tuesday with major donors offering a match challenge. Fantastic, Dawn. Valerie mentions they did Giving Tuesday. It was successful. It was the first one. Congrats, Valerie. That's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Wow.
Now you have a baseline and you can measure some analytics going forward.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
lots of good things here.
Giving Tuesday was phenomenally successful this year. And some of the statistics I'm going to give you right now are from Nonprofit Pro, an article I read about Giving Tuesday. 19.1 million people made a financial gift for Giving Tuesday, and that's up 3%. 13.5 million donated goods, and that's up 4%. So not only financial gifts, but also goods, maybe a pair of shoes or a jacket, a warm jacket for a homeless shelter, whatever. 20.9 million people spoke about the causes, and that's up 26%. Why am I including that? Remember, we talk about people make gifts because they have linkage, because they have the ability to make a gift, or because they're interested in your program. But advocacy, that's what advocates do. They talk about your cause. Up 26%, 20.9 million people. That's more than made an actual gift. They talked about your cause. Gift sizes have grown in 2024. You know, the average gift for a Giving Tuesday was $506. That's phenomenal. That's really high. Your challenge, guys, in 2026, as it relates to Giving Tuesday, is to turn one-day givers. And Jarrett alluded to this a few minutes ago. Turn those one-day givers into year-round givers. You can do it. And the best way I could tell you to do that, you've got these Giving Tuesday donors, move them through discovery, move them through presentation, then the ask, then stewardship, which is part of the cause selling cycle. We have a model that can help you move those donors through that cycle. It works. We've seen it. I've been there, as Jarrett said, since 2019 at the Fundraising Academy at National University. I've seen it over and over and over again with people who have been through the program. Okay.
Hey, Jack, I want to give a shout out to one of your former students, Ndidi, and she was the one that mentioned that she did the appeals for 3 different clients. So shout out there.
Hello, welcome. Happy holidays. Good to see you. She's also a CFRE. She went through the program and she landed it, nailed it.
Awesome.
So what you do, as I said, with these one-day donors is to build a dedicated donor journey. And you could do that. Let me talk about DAFs because DAFs are growing. And these statistics are from Chariot and K2D Strategies. They surveyed 32 nonprofit organizations on DAF gifts totaling $1.1 billion. So they have a good database to work from. And these gifts, these DAF gifts, were given between 2020 and 2024. Listen to this, guys. And if this doesn't inform what you should be doing in 2026, I don't know what will be. 67% of donors who switched from giving an annual gift to a DAF gift, they doubled their gift. That's what this study found out. People who switch from annual giving to DAF giving double their gift. Small donors, and we're talking people who give $100 or $100 or less or $500, whatever it is you consider a small gift. The average DAF gift was $1,157. $1,157. That's the average DAF gift. 19 times larger than the average non-DAF gift. I mean, guys, if this doesn't inform what you're doing in 2026, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's such a big statistic. The share of DAF giving has grown across all donor levels. Let me give you an example. DAF dollars grew from 3.4% to nearly 5% for those who gave between $250 and $500. We see growth across the board. DAF, you know what the retention rate is for DAF donors? I said it earlier, way back when, 60%. 60% retention rate compared to non-DAF donors, which is between 40 and 50%. This is such an important thing for you to emphasize going forward in 2026. And I hope, if nothing else, if you do nothing else, start asking your donors if they have, or if they are willing to make a gift through donor advised funds. It's such an important strategy. DAF giving is increasing its share of revenue for even smaller nonprofits. Those nonprofits who are less than $10 million in revenue. 6% of total revenues reported that DAF dollars accounted for, in 2024, accounted for 15% of their total revenue. One of the things I've read, and I'm a big fan, and we talked about this before we went on, I read DAF Revolution. I just finished the book by Ted Hart. It's a great book. And DAFs are a place where we should be. One of the things they mentioned, and I don't know, Jarrett, if you heard of this, DAF Day. We have Giving Tuesday. We have, other days, DAF Day. And I don't know when it is, but I'm going to do some homework on this. Get involved in DAF Day. It's such, you're getting involved in Giving Tuesday. You're getting involved in other giving days. DAF Day. Find it, use it, and go forward. Go ahead, Jarrett. Sorry.
Question: is there a threshold at which you shouldn't ask a donor to double their donation? I'd hesitate to ask someone to go from 5 to 10 or 10 to 20.
You know what's interesting about DAF giving? They do it themselves. Now, if it's an annual gift, she might or he might have a hesitation about asking an annual gift to double their gift. But with DAF giving, we see when they move from an annual gift to a DAF gift, they do it themselves. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many reasons why donors are moving to DAF giving. It's the democratization of giving. It's where donors can have impact. It's so easy to make. You make one gift to a DAF sponsor, like Community Foundation or Merrill Lynch or Vanguard. Fidelity's the largest. I mean, they really started the process. You make this one large gift, and then you make gifts out from that sponsor agency. It's such an easy way. You don't have to write checks. I mean, it's just seamless. And you know who some of the biggest DAF donors are right now? Gen X. Gen Z, millennials. They are moving to DAFs. The number of foundations are decreasing, but the number of DAF foundations, so to speak, or DAF donors is increasing. So really think about how that would improve what you're doing going forward. It's
So,
really
Jack,
good. Go
your
ahead.
homework's been done. Again, shout out Indeedy. DAF Day is October 9th. It just passed not too long ago, but James mentioned in 2025, yes, it was October 9th, but in 26, the year we're moving into, it will be
Yeah.
Friday, October the 9th.
October the 9th. Write that down, people. Get
Yep. So,
involved. Figure it out.
Friday,
Work.
October
And
9th.
it's similar to what you would do for a Giving Tuesday. You might segment your donors. You might have a peer-to-peer fundraising around that. One of the things that I love about DAF giving, if you have DAF donors, have them write their story and then publish it on your website or in a newsletter or send it to other donors. I think that a couple things about DAFs, which we are, by the way, DAF giving, we're going to have a webinar on May 20th. Myself and Bree Muehlbauer are going to do a DAF webinar. So mark your calendars for May 20th, because I am, as you can see, I'm being kind of shy about DAFs, I guess, right, Jared? I'm being reserved. No, I'm not. I'm saying this is the future. It's an important vehicle for giving, and I want you guys to be involved in it. October 9th, it's going to be on my calendar. So come on May 20th, and we'll talk about what's going to happen on DAF Day.
And we do
So
have a question about, do we
yeah.
have a link to the DAF study and also a link to the Giving Tuesday results? So if I
So
can give a shout out also to the Fundraising Academy team, that might be a resource to share.
yeah, as I said earlier, the Giving Tuesday was from an article I read in Nonprofit Pro, and you could go to Nonprofit Pro's website. I have a couple articles up there. I just read one by Cherry and Koski about neurogiving like 2 days ago. So you could go to their website and just put in Giving Tuesday, and I'm sure you'll see that article just like in the last 2 weeks. I try to keep up. I read a lot of stuff, as Jarrett does, as Deandra and the Fundraising Academy. All of our trainers do. We're constantly looking for research to justify how it works and how we can fit it into our cost selling cycle. So yeah, Nonprofit Pro, DAF giving. I got from an organization, and I just Googled it. Chariot, Chariot, and K, the letter K, to D strategies. And they're the ones who did that survey of 32 nonprofit organizations who are working with DAF gifts. So guys, and you could follow these organizations. You could get a newsletter from Nonprofit Pro free of charge in your inbox all the time. Two great resources. Anything else, Jared, before I move on to stewardship?
I think that's it. Yeah,
Anything.
let's move to stewardship.
Okay. So stewardship. What were your stewardship plans for the year? What worked well? What can you do to improve your stewardship, or so that you can retain more donors? What did your data reveal to you? Anybody?
It'll come in, but you got to give them more time.
Yeah, I know.
Because they type some great responses. So I want to make sure that they
I'm
have some
going to
time
give them time. We've got time.
Okay, someone says face-to-face meetings are best.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Was that Indeedy? By the way, Indeedy, I'm going to make you sure that you come to every webinar.
It was Debbie.
Debbie Scott. Yes, of course. Two really smart fundraisers. Anybody else hear any donor concerns? How about donor concerns? You have any donor concerns that you needed to address? Did you have any ideas to help improve your retention? Face-to-face is one. Debbie said face-to-face. Guess what? That's a great way to improve donor retention.
Linda mentioned member parties for Giving Circle members.
Oh, I love that idea. That's a new one. Hey, I think that's Linda C.
It is.
Linda, you should what do you call when you get an idea? You should brand it or something. Uh,
Member parties, yeah.
yeah. Member parties for that's a great way. And you know what? Those member parties, Linda, probably would be a great opportunity for you to really do some discovery and cultivation. That would be a really awesome technique when we were back in discovery. So
Linda said,
yes, I
good
love that.
idea. And
Yes.
then Debbie adds, I'm running a virtual meeting with an out of state major donor family on the 30th of this month.
Oh, I love that. And I'm wondering, Debbie, if they, I see a lot of families. One of the great things about DAFs is to create intergenerational giving, where you establish a DAF. I know you, Jarrett, you could have a DAF and you could bring Tanner in to help you. That's her son, to help you decide where the money goes. And I've seen that quite a bit.
Yeah. A couple of more comments here. Debbie mentions more personalized stewardship. So donor appreciation consistently delivered throughout the year. And Debbie, yes, yes, yes. Stewardship is not like calendarized for one specific day. It absolutely should be built in throughout the entire year. So thank you for bringing that to everyone's
Yes.
attention and for being mindful of it. And then Carolyn mentions that their donors are across the country. So telephone calls work for them, as well as handwritten notes, personal impact reports. They tried events, but didn't get much interest from donors. So I also want to say kudos to you, Carolyn, for paying attention to how your donors are responding and then pivoting, right, on how you're
Yeah.
delivering that information.
She actually is actualizing what this whole webinar is about.
That's right.
Looking at your data,
That's
pivoting,
right.
changing, moving forward, growing, being better at our
Tailoring.
jobs.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Two
Yes.
thumbs up.
Four thumbs
Four
up.
thumbs up.
Another
Okay.
one, regional reunions for alumni of our fellowship across different states and different regions.
Nice. Nice.
Phenomenal. And that's from Zahir. And I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. If not, please do correct me in the chat. That's
Yeah,
great.
that's beautiful. Yeah, I like that. Anything else in chat?
That's it for now. Yeah, some great
Good. All right.
responses. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, good. Let's do a community share. So, when you look at your donor journey through the cause selling cycle, which were the most challenging? Let's review. Which is the most challenging? Is it prospecting? Is it discovery? Is it presentation? Handling objections? Is it asking? Or is it stewardship? What is the most challenging? And how did you overcome that challenge? So, what is the most challenging? Is it prospecting, discovery, or cultivation? Is it presenting your cause? Is it making the ask? Or is it in stewardship?
So
Now,
our
we
first
already had
response is
uh,
prospecting. And the reason why is they mentioned that they are small. They need to find a way to attract new donors. Now, if I recall correctly, Jack, this is also the same participant that didn't have much
luck with the board members.
that's right, success with
Yeah,
their board. That's
yeah,
right.
that was a challenge. I think expanding that network of prospects, and we talk about several ways, but one of the things that you could ask your donors, whether they're a major gift donor or an annual donor or whatever level they give at, is ask them to introduce you to other people who are in their circle. People, we have a tendency to build relationships with people who are a lot like us, so that if we're building if we care about the arts, then most likely my friends, my network, my circle are going to be other people who care about the arts, or if it's social services or whatever. So ask all of your donors to let you know of anyone in their network or their circle who might be interested in your organization. I remember back when I was consulting with an organization, one of the board members, she said to me, and it was an arts organization. It was an arts organization that does arts in the schools. And she said, Jack, you just gave me an idea. When I bring my children to daycare, there are 3 or 4 parents, men and women, dads and moms, who I'm going to talk to about this organization that I give money to. So ask them. It's a good idea to ask your donors, no matter what the giving level is, for names. And then once they give you the name, you know what you do next? You say to them, Jarrett, would you be willing to set up a meeting with me and your friend for coffee, or to visit the art museum, or to visit our social service organization, or whatever the organization is? And I will tell you that 99.9% of the time, that person will say, yeah, I could do that. I could set up a coffee, or I could set up a site visit. So don't be afraid to ask them to do that. And then your circle just grows and grows. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Yes, the other group that really should be asked about network in prospecting is your administrators, the people who work. I found that volunteers have the best connections. Some of the biggest gifts I've ever received in my career were because a volunteer said, I know so and so, or a senior executive, or a program officer. Social workers, when I worked in social services, they were great people to ask about giving us somebody in their network. So expand that universe of people you would ask beyond the board. I think the board, for this specific chat person, it's the board is a stumbling block or a barrier. Expand your circle. Anything else in there?
Well, I want to say thank you. I did put it in the chat. There's some peer-to-peer feedback happening, like real life, which is exactly what I love to see, Jack,
Yeah.
because I know I always come to these conversations not being the expert, but being one of many
Yeah.
passionate fundraisers. So I really appreciate the peer-to-peer. Meg mentions in stewardship that their CRM wasn't updated for years.
Oh, Lord.
Also, it looks like they're the only dedicated development staff and live outside of the community that the organization is serving, and their site visits to the location is infrequent. I think that's a very interesting challenge. And I think that
Yeah.
is maybe not, but maybe nuanced since COVID and how many of us work remotely or have this hybrid opportunity. Any thoughts come to mind for you on that, Jack, as to how maybe Meg could really work on the stewardship? Again, knowing that they're really updating the database and
Yeah.
a small team.
Yeah. Well, a small team is most smaller nonprofit organizations outside of big universities, big healthcare facilities, big arts organizations. San Francisco Ballet has a huge staff of fundraisers, but those smaller grassroots organizations, which really depend on grassroots contributions, I think the same techniques in cause selling that work for a large ballet company or an international opera company would also work for those smaller organizations. And finding the time, it's a challenge. And especially for those one person shops, listen, I know what that's like. I've seen many people shops, but talking to your board members, creating a culture of philanthropy where everyone has to understand the role that money plays in advancing mission. And that's you as the educator. Do I have all the answers to these challenges? No. I've gone to jobs, Jarrett, and sat down at the computer, opened the CRM system, and no one had been in there for months. I didn't even know if half the people who were major gift donors were even connected or contacted, or when they were contacted. There were no notes in there. And that is an extreme fundraising fail. So those are challenges. And you just have to, triage your time, especially if you're a one person shop, figure out your priorities, build a development plan, which is something we do in our capstone project, in our program that we have, which Jared's going to talk about at the end of this, our fundraising programs, et cetera. Build that capstone project, build that development plan, and execute it. follow it. I don't mean shoot it. I mean execute the initiatives in that development plan. Anything else before we move on to our
No,
next slide?
I think we're
Good,
good. Thank you.
good. So so what have you learned? I mean, it's sort of a question that we've talked about before. What have you learned? I mean, what just one key learning about any of these cycles in our cost selling cycle. And if everybody just put one key thing that they learned, and we've heard some of them, face to face, right? Important strategy. Anyone, we'll give them a few seconds to put those in there.
Yeah, you're learning, Jack. I mean, they're good, but they're that we got to give them some time to put in. And I think
I
there's a little
know.
bit of a lag,
Yeah,
but yeah, they will definitely come in. One thing that I'll share as we wait for these to come in, when it comes to stewardship, and I've shared it on a webinar that I've presented here before, is annual, or I should say anniversary letters. So there's 12 months in a year. I
yeah,
pull, a report to find out the donors that gave in January as their first gift, regardless of the year.
yeah,
And I would send them because I've never worked at a place, Jack, that had birthdays. So I couldn't necessarily recognize someone's birthday. So I
sure.
would recognize the anniversary date of their first gift. And that's what
Yeah.
I had used for stewardship. Okay, we've got well,
Can
first
I
of
add
all,
something before you read that? Because
yes,
I love what you just said about
yes,
stewardship. One of the things that we say in stewardship in the cost selling cycle is to treat everyone like a major gift donor. And the reason why we say that is a good reason. The reason why we say treat everyone as a major gift donor, because every donor you have thinks they are a major gift donor. They're giving to the extent that they can. If they make a $10 gift, that's a major gift to them. So treat them in the same way you would treat someone who gave you 10,000 or $100,000. So remember that about stewardship. Go ahead, Jarrett.
yeah,
I'm
no, that's
happy to
great.
listen.
And I'll take that further. So one of my clients, we just did Giving Tuesday, and we had donations all the way from $5, $11, $25, $1,000. And we thanked all of them individually, just as they were major donors. And we equally did, your collective giving of X amount that was, you know, all the donations that came in from Giving Tuesday, because we wanted to know that that $5 donor and that $1,000 donor were a part of this collective impact, right? And it all counts and it all matters and it all helps us make that change that we're looking to make in our community. So yes, someone says each gift meaningful to the donor is meaningful to us.
Oh,
Absolutely.
sweet. I love that.
Okay,
That's a beautiful sentiment, isn't it? I
it
love that.
is. So
Yeah.
someone mentioned what they learned was DAF Day. Absolutely. And I think Linda, you and many others here, including myself, are going to work a plan around DAF Day, October 9th. So make sure that's on your calendar. Let's see. Donors like to share why they want to give to the charity and why they connect with it.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely. Just asking them in an email or a written thank you note often results like a response. Someone says I focus on major donors, but another employee is taking on the smaller donors and the
Yeah.
recurring donors. We team up and coordinate our actions. That's phenomenal. Let's see, what else might I have missed here?
One of the things that comes to mind, one of the things that I've read in my research around legacy planned giving, one of the most effective tools we have in getting planned gifts is for someone who has made a planned gift to the organization to tell their story. And I read that through lots of research. I did a training in Chicago a month ago, and that was one of the key things in working with plan giving professionals is that it's such an important thing. And we see it. We see it in newsletters that go out about legacy gifts or plan gifts. And I don't see why we can't use that based on that last chat comment, why we can't use that same strategy with major gift donors and annual gift donors. And the reason why it's so effective with legacy giving donors and why I believe it would be effective with major gift donors, because social signals. We constantly give each other social signals. When I sit and tell the story, or Jarrett says the story why she's made a planned gift, she is social signaling to me that this is valuable to her. This organization deserves something beyond past when she'll be on the planet. So I love social signaling, and I think you could use that with major gift donors or DAF donors. October 9th it was, right?
October
Or
9th. You got it.
October 9th, use it with DAF donors, use it with annual giving donors, use it with monthly giving donors.
Yeah.
Use those social signals that we give each other, donors give to other prospective donors. Go ahead, Jared. I'm sorry. I went
Matthew,
off.
or sorry, were you in Chicago or was it virtual, Jack?
I was in Chicago
Okay,
and I
well,
worked with 40 and it snowed the first day I was
so
there. So
Matthew here in the chat. Yeah, missed opportunity. He's like,
yeah,
"What?
sorry.
You were in Chicago?"
Yeah, so I went to the Art Institute through a blizzard. I didn't care. I walked there. So,
That's so
sorry,
good.
Matthew. Matthew, I'll come back to Chicago anytime. Invite me. I'm there. Um,
Totally worth it.
yeah.
All right, let's move to measuring success, Jack.
Yes. So anybody who's been in any of my study groups, I like to talk about these six or five metrics and any other metrics that you might have. Let's talk about return on investment. And I just Googled this morning. I'm always learning about ROI, return on investment. And you know what? The simplest definition I found just this morning was it's a measure of the value generated from an investment. It's a measure of the value that we get back from some investment. It's a measure of effectiveness. You've heard me talk about this in the past in study groups. A measure of the effectiveness. Effectiveness of what? Effectiveness of your mission. Your return on investment is a direct measure of the effectiveness of your mission. How effective have you communicated that mission? And remember what we say in cause selling, mission is about your why, not your what. So look at your mission. And when you look at your return on investment, it's measuring how that investment that we make is a measure of your mission's effectiveness of your mission. Cost to raise a dollar, another. This is a measure of efficiency. How effectively you are using your resources to raise a dollar. When we talk about resources, what are we talking about? People. That's your development professionals, your giving officers. Time. How much time you are giving them to achieve some fundraising goal, and of course, how much money budget you are putting towards that. Those two are great measures. My favorite is retention rate. One-time donors, you heard this earlier, guys. One-time donors, 40 to 50% retention rate. Monthly donors, looked at this morning. I Googled this because it's constantly changing. And the interesting thing about monthly donors, their retention rate is 80 to 90%. And of course, you heard me say earlier, we talked about this about major gifts, 60 to 70% major gift donors. These monthly giving donors and these major gift donors, they are the builders of our organization because they are the investors. Growth in giving, I love growth in giving. I've had many metrics around my own work around growth in giving, including how our annual gifts growing, our major gifts growing, our monthly gifts growing. All of those things are really important. And donor surveys, you heard me wax on about donor surveys. I do apologize. I really do believe in talking to our donors and asking them what they like, what they don't like through surveys or face-to-face. How about other metrics? What about you guys out there? What metrics do you like? And it doesn't have to be any of these, guys. It could be something that you use in your own work and that you would love to share with other people on this webinar so that they could bring it to their work in 2026.
Yeah, let's hear it. Put it in the chat. I'll share shamelessly what mine is, and it's similar to ROI. but it's ROR and it stands for return on relationship.
Oh, I love
Yep.
that.
And it is just in the depths, right, of cause selling because it's really around how are we investing in our people and the relationships, like
I
our
love it.
donor relationships. And we can track that by way of engagement. We can
Yeah.
track that by way of even click-throughs in links that we might send to them. Are they responding to emails? Are they attending events, right? Are they saying yes to coffee dates or invites? So return on relationship is one that I like to throw in.
Oh, we need to add that to this slide. I'm
Yes,
serious. It's such a
ROR.
good one. I love it. ROR. ROR, return on relationships.
Yeah. And that
And in
that's
the
across
cost
the
selling
board.
cycle, and the great way to measure that is to look at when you put the donor through that journey through the cost selling cycle, when you get to the stewardship part, that's where you could probably really see that return on the
Yeah.
relationship. I love that. Love it,
Yeah.
love it, love it. Any
Yeah.
other metrics you're seeing out there or any comments in chat?
Yeah, another metric here is number of new donors. So the growth of new donors year over year, and love to see those lapsed donor renewals come
Oh,
in.
I love that. What
Absolutely.
do we say in cost selling? How to get those lapsed donors? We say it in stewardship. If you take a class on stewardship or go to our online, our learning portal
Portal.
.org, lapsed donors. Here's how to get lapsed donors, guys. One is to take responsibility for why they lapsed. Was it you? Was it a failure of building the relationship that Jared talked about a few minutes ago? Is that what fell down by the wayside? Was it a failure to steward them? Take responsibility for whatever that is. Number two, remind them why they gave in the first place. What brought them to your organization will bring them back to your organization. That's number two. Remind them of their connection to your mission, your vision, or your values. Three, ask them to re-engage. Those are the three steps that absolutely will work with the majority of lapsed owners. Some may have passed, some their financial situation may have changed, some may have a student going to an expensive school, whatever it is. But always don't give up on them. At some point, you have to give up on them if you've tried several times. But if you use those three techniques, remind them of why they gave in the first place, take responsibility for why they left, and ask them to re-engage.
Yeah, that's good. Shout out to Debbie. And she has shouted out a few times. Bloomerang is a database that Bloomerang offers a short survey that comes in really handy, and she finds
Nice.
that helpful for lapsed donors. We here at Fundraising Academy do not have a dedicated partner, I will say, with the donor database. So I encourage you to look at what your database uses. I personally
Mm-hmm.
am a fan of Bloomerang. I shared that in the chat with you, Debbie. But again, many of my clients are on many different platforms. So know that this exists. And if it exists in one platform, it might exist in another one. So take a look and see what's possible.
Yeah. You know what, Jared? You and I should write a blog on choosing a donor database.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And look
Yeah.
at the options because one, Bloomerang is great, Salesforce is great, but you have to look at your own organization and ask yourself, what do I need?
Yeah, the
And
capacity. How
yeah,
can we use this?
right. So yeah,
Mhm.
and going forward, that's a good hack, pro tip from the two of us
That's
going
right.
forward in 2026.
Yeah. All right.
What else
Good
you got in
stuff.
there? Anything?
Not for the measuring success. I think we're
Okay.
ready for 2026. Let's
Yeah.
look at that next.
So what will you do different in 20? And some people have already said, they're going to do DAF Day. I'm so glad. That makes me so happy, guys. I got to tell you, I'm so pleased that you're going to be doing that. Anything else? What else would you do different? What about Giving Tuesday? Are you going to expand it in any way? Annual giving, you're going to send out more than two annual giving letters?
Jack, what's your sweet
Messaging?
spot? What do you recommend?
So I think the place, my sweet spot has always been discovery. because
Mm,
I'm a people person. You and I are both people persons, whatever it is. I love meeting with people. I mean, that's why I'm here today. That's why I do the study groups. By the way, in January, I'm going to teach fundamentals of fundraising for AFP Global. Not that any in this workshop may be interested, but else other people in your organization may be. So I love working with people. One of my favorite things, Jarrett, and you and I are both consultants, we're both instructors, we're both trainers, is that when you guys take something from today's webinar and you raise more money next year, guess what? All boats rise. If it's around social services or the arts, if you're presenting more arts, if you're feeding more people or finding getting more GEDs or teaching English as a second language, our lives are better. Jarrett and I benefit, whether you're in Arizona or Florida or wherever you are, all boats rise. That's my sweet spot.
love it. Yeah, I love it. Um, Nothing has come in as to what people will do different. Oh,
Yeah.
here it is.
Yeah.
Carolyn, we'll start segmenting our donors more. That's
Oh, I
great,
love that.
Carolyn.
Yeah. Segmenting and targeting are two of the foundational principles of marketing and messaging. When
Yes.
I worked in healthcare, if Jared called me up and said, I'm interested in behavioral health, all my messages would be around behavioral health. It wouldn't be about oncology or ER or anything else. Segmenting and targeting messaging. Yeah, guys, all of you should be doing that if you're not already.
Yeah.
Good. Well, we've got some time for questions. Any
Yeah.
questions out there? Any burning questions?
If you have questions, let us know. Use the chat. Linda
Yep.
did ask or add, sorry, asking for multi-year commitments is something that Linda will do in 2026. And
Oh,
Debbie
I love that.
added, create a video tour of the nonprofit home. So those are two takeaways that
Oh,
Jessica.
I like that. Yeah, so videos work. I mean, you and I both have done videos, I think. And of course, the Fundraising Academy has several videos at LinkedIn Learning. Check that out. I was involved in that project during the COVID, working with people writing scripts. I wrote some scripts and then watching professionals uh, make those scripts videos, watching directors and actors. It was a great deal of fun. It was all via Zoom, and that's at LinkedIn Learning. Find a lot of videos up there. I'm a big fan of that because I was involved in that project. So yes, check that out.
No
Any other?
questions have come
Yeah.
in.
We're just so clear, Jared. It's just great. It's just great. Well, we'll tell you how to get in touch with us if you do have questions going forward.
That's right.
Let's do the summary. Above and beyond, we talked about uh, trends in fundraising. Why isn't that showing? There it is. Trends in fundraising effectiveness project. And, this can serve as a baseline for your own evaluation going forward. And, you can follow them on LinkedIn. You can follow us on LinkedIn. You could get their newsletters. I love all these. I get all these kinds of research projects. I download them. I haven't read most of them throughout this year. That's going to be my holiday fun time to read about all these research things. Look at the fundraising effectiveness project. Above and beyond numbers of donors, dollars raised, retention rates, there are other questions we should ask ourselves going forward. There are different ways to measure success. Jared gave us an excellent one, ROR. I love that. So, and if you have them, send them over to us. We'd love to hear about them. There are many different ways to do that. And of course, we've talked about what new strategies we will bring to our work in 2026. And one of the things I love about the Fundraising Academy at National University is that we're always interested in this last point, giving you the strategies so that your job will be easier, more fulfilling, and that you will raise more money. So it's really an important thing for us. I think that's some of our mission as we move forward.
It is.
And
And before we jump there, we've got some questions that come in. So I want to
okay,
squeeze them in if I can.
let's do it. Yes, let's
Yeah.
hear about it.
How does this process, oh, sorry. is there a strategy like a do's and a don'ts on what you recommend for donor matching?
So matching gifts, is
Mhm.
that what we're talking about? Yeah,
That's my assumption.
so I love matching gifts because, again, remember when I mentioned previously about donors telling their stories as a way to social signal? Matching gifts are the primary way in fundraising we send social signals. So if Jarrett makes a matching gift to some arts program and she's public about it, she said, or we have a matching gift donor, or even if it's private, it doesn't matter. It sends a signal to other donors that she believes in this mission. She's social signaling. I like to use this about social signaling examples. We see people walking around with Hermes. Is that how you say it? Hermes bags. It's a social signal, or jewelry of some kind. All of these things are social signals. We do it all the time. If I wear a shirt that has the logo of Yves Saint Laurent, that's a social signal. That's a technique that we should bring to our work in 2026. Matching gifts is a social signal that someone believes so much in our organization. Jarrett, for example, she's willing to match gifts. And I love that as a great, that's a do. Try to get those. Talk to your major gift donors, ask them about doing matching gifts for new programs or a capital campaign or whatever campaign it is you are working on. I hope that helps.
I think that was great. I love your social signals here. James asked, is there a process, or sorry, does this process work for foundations or corporate sponsors? And my assumption again is the process being the cause selling.
Yeah.
I'll just jump in, Jack, and say, yes, this
Yes.
model works for any and all relationships. It is relationship based, and using the model can be incorporated
Yeah.
into really all of these ways. So whether it's a foundation, a corporation, an individual, a DAF donor, right, a qualified
Yeah.
charitable donor, there's so many ways that yes, you can use this plan in all of the ways.
You know,
Robert
I-
has,
you know,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well,
I was
we've
going to
got,
say that. Go ahead. I'm
I know,
sorry.
I'm looking at our time and we've still got some things to get through. So Robert
Okay.
wants to know in particular about AI. It seems that many nonprofits out there are looking to figure out how to incorporate artificial intelligence into their fundraising, and wants to know, sorry, I was trying to paraphrase this. As someone who believes in genuine relationship building, what my team and I plan to do differently is to learn how to best balance the fundamentals of fundraising with the surge of AI. It will never replace in-person caring for your
No,
cause,
no.
or at least that is what I tell my own clients. So any
Yeah,
thoughts
and
about
he's right.
AI for
Yeah.
places?
So AI, I think AI is an awesome tool. People ask me, I had a former student ask me, she said, well, I don't really like AI because, I just don't like it. It's kind of creepy, whatever. Here's the thing. Do you use, spell check? It's a tool. AI is a tool. Okay. If you use spell check or Grammarly, and I use all of those things because I'm a terrible speller, AI is just a tool. But here's the thing. Whoever said AI is never going to replace, at least in my mind, at least in my lifetime, many of your lifetimes, and maybe for the rest of the century, AI is never going to replace that relationship building thing. I mean, even chatbots cannot do that at this point. The thing about AI is what AI does is it searches databases. I wrote a blog. Jarrett charged me with writing a blog on cause selling and prospect research. When is that going to be up? In January? And we'll direct people to read that blog. But
Yes,
I
late
wrote
January.
I wrote the article and then I put it through Gemini and then I put it through Chat GPT just to see what would come up. You have to have your own words first. I mean, yes, it can generate an article or something like that. But to me, when I read those, I could pretty much tell it was AI generated and not from the author. Remember, AI searches databases. That's where we are with AI. And that is a great tool. I like searching, putting a question into AI, what is the cult? And some of the statistics I came up with today were generated through AI questions. So yeah, use it, use the free models. I don't pay for any AI. I don't know about you, Jarrett. I mean, I haven't really, I know I have friends who are consultants and trainers and they purchase AI. One of the places I get an email every day about AI. Get those free emails. Khan Academy, maybe you've heard of KHAN Academy. That guy who created that, he has a lot of great AI training, and I urge all of you to do that. I think it's going to replace some things, but it's never going to replace you sitting down with a prospect, developing a relationship, presenting your cause, and asking for a gift, and then stewardship. It's not going to replace stewardship.
Not
What
that
it might do
relationship.
is tailor communications to certain segments of your donors. It may remind you when you should be asking things, but not going to replace that relationship building. I hope
Yeah.
that answers that question.
I think that's helpful. Well, let's move to the connect with us because Jack and I would like for you to connect with us. You can scan these QR codes. This will take you to our personal LinkedIn pages. So if you have any additional questions, or maybe you wanted to go deeper in some of those that you asked during today's conversation, or ideas, topics, things that you learned in today's conversation, do reach out to us. And again, this conversation, the recording, the slides, all of it will be accessible in the portal. So that next slide, you can scan another QR code, but wait, there's more. Register for this no-cost online learning portal. Tons of information here. There's blogs. As Jack mentioned, he has one coming out in January. I also write some blogs for Fundraising Academy. There are worksheets you can download. There are conversations and questions you can download, tons of resources, tons of webinars. So please do take advantage of this. I also encourage anyone that I work with to share this portal with your board members, with your staff, with your volunteers. We want as many people on this portal as possible, because this will also change the way of how we see philanthropy, right? This will really, the
Yes.
more people that are
Yeah.
educated, the more people that know about this would be amazing. And then we invite you to next month's webinar. So as I have
One
mentioned,
thing before we leave that last slide, those of you on this webinar, James and Linda and Robert and Debbie, we offer free continuing education credits, whether you're preparing for the CFRE or you already have your CFRE. That's the place to get them. Sorry, Jared, I'll let you do this, please. Go ahead.
yeah, no, that's great. And someone from the Fundraising Academy team, if you can please drop the link to the portal, that would be super helpful. So Bianca or Jesse, if one of you could do that. Invite you next month. Can you believe it? We're moving into January 2026. We have Kimberly Brown. She is Director of Community Engagement at Feather, which is going to be presenting about the great acquisition, finding new donors in these challenging times. And our dear friend, Muhi Khwaja, will be joining as the moderator. So Jack and I both endorse Muhi and his great work. So do register for this. We invite you to register for every single opportunity that we put out there. And again, that portal is accessible as well. The very last slide we want to share with you is about a certificate. So if your goals in 2026 is to develop yourself personally and professionally, we have a certificate for you. So it is 125 hours, flexible, right? So you can go at your own pace, modular certificate. So it is designed to help busy fundraisers, and I know that's you because I know
Yeah.
it's me as well, truly meet your professional development goals. So certificates are available individually or in bulk. So if you want to do this with your team in 2026, that would be phenomenal as well. So check this out. We will also have some information about their certificate in the chat. So check that out. You can also scan it, but there is wonderful information in the certificate program. And again, it's at your own pace. So do check that out.
Yes, and both of us have been involved in the creation of this. And I mentioned earlier, the capstone project is the creation of a development plan. So get involved in that. It's really awesome. And with that, I want to
Thank
say
you.
thank you so much. And I love you all. And I hope you'll be kind to each other. Have a great holiday, whatever you celebrate, whatever it is. We are wishing you the best and love one another.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you to all of you that were here. Phenomenal engagement.